Hello, I welcome you all to a discussion named as Counseling and Psychotherapy. I have primarily divided my lecture into 6 main sections. They are, firstly, exploring the meaning of spirituality, psychotherapy, and counseling. The second section will be dealing with the role of psychotherapy and counseling among children. The third section will be focusing on the importance of spiritual counseling in different religions. Fourthly, I will try to expatiate on the relationship between psychotherapy and spirituality. Fifthly, I will discuss on the concept of spirituality-centered counseling, and finally, in the seventh section, I will explore spiritual issues in counseling and psychotherapy, which will be followed by a conclusion. The term spirituality is derived from the Latin word spiritus, which means breath. It is related to the Greek word pneuma, which also means breath. Benner has defined spiritual as the transpersonal awareness arising spontaneously or through meditative and other practices beyond ordinary explanations, and to which are attributed an inspiring and guiding meaningfulness, often attributed to a deity. Spirituality thus refers to the belief of the people in a power which is greater than the human beings. It is personal in nature. Each individual experiences spirituality in their own ways. It leads to the creation of higher consciousness, and it helps man to transcend himself or herself into some other world where he or she can find utmost peace. It provides men with the meaning of life and gives men the strength to fight against all anomaly situation. Many a times it can be noted that people who term themselves to be spiritual are not religious in nature. It is complementary to religion, as religion involves a set of beliefs and practices which is associated with any organized and formal group and institution. According to Max Scherrer, spirituality refers to a fundamental capacity in human beings. It is expressed within human experience before people identify that experience with a particular religious or spiritual set of beliefs, rituals, or ethics. Spirituality as an innate human characteristic involves the capacity for self-transcendence, being meaningfully involved in and personally committed to the world beyond an individual's personal boundaries. This meaningful involvement and commitment shapes the way people live and allows them to integrate their lives. Spirituality can be clearly identified and studied in human events and written text or other forms of expression such as art and music, desires and motivations. Spirituality is also an academic discipline. Using interdisciplinary methods, the dynamics of the spiritual dimension of life can be analyzed. Thus, spirituality is simply the state of being spiritual, that is, of having an awareness and appreciation of the realm of the spirit, not just of the body, but centering one's life on that appreciation. According to Ang Wei Kiat, in his article Psychotherapy, psychotherapy is a form of treatment based on the systematic use of a relationship between therapist and patient, as distinct from pharmacological or social methods, to produce change in feelings, thinking, and behavior. The advantage of this definition is that it highlights how the quality of interpersonal relationship forms the basis for therapeutic efficacy, whatever techniques are employed to this end. As with all interpersonal relationships, communication is an intrinsic aspect of psychotherapy. The predominant medium of communication involves the use of spoken language. However, non-verbal means, that is body sculpting, drama, music, art and play, have been employed for psychotherapeutic purposes as well. In general, the prime goals of psychotherapy are as follows. Number 1, removal of distressing symptoms. Number 2, altering disturbed patterns of behavior. Number 3, improved interpersonal relationships. Number 4, better coping with stresses of life. Number 5, personal growth and maturation. Despite the diversity of techniques employed in psychotherapy, the following are beneficial functions that most, if not all, effective psychotherapies have in common. Number 1, developing a therapeutic relationship. Number 2, generating positive expectations. Number 3, facilitating cognitive and experiential learning. Number 4, facilitating emotional arousal and catharsis. Number 5, engendering a sense of mastery. Number 6, application of new skills developed. To quote the Governing Council of the American Counseling Association is, counseling is the application of mental health, psychological or human development principles through cognitive, affective, behavioral or systematic interventions, strategies that addresses wellness, personal growth or career development as well as pathology. The British Association for Counselling, now the BACP, may have been the first professional association to adopt a definition of professional counselling. In 1986, it published the following definition. Counseling is the skilled and principled use of relationship to facilitate self-knowledge, emotional acceptance and growth, and the optimal development of personal resources. The overall aim is to provide an opportunity to work towards living more satisfyingly and resourcefully. Counseling relationships will vary according to need, but may be concerned with developmental issues, addressing and resolving specific problems, making decisions, coping with crisis, developing personal insights and knowledge, working through feelings of inner conflict, or improving relationship with others. In 1993, Feltham and Dryden included the following definition of counseling in their specialized Dictionary of Counseling. Counseling is a principled relationship characterized by the application of one or more psychological theories and a recognized set of communication skills, modified by experience, intuition, and other interpersonal factors to clients' intimate concerns, problems, or aspirations. Its predominant ethos is one of facilitation rather than of advice giving or coercion. It may be of very brief or long duration, take place in an organizational or private practice setting, and may or may not overlap with practical, medical, and other matters of personal welfare. It is both a distinctive activity undertaken by people agreeing to occupy the roles of counselor and client, and it is an emergent profession. It is a service sought by people in distress and in some degree of confusion who wish to discuss and resolve these in a relationship which is more disciplined and confidential than friendship, and perhaps less stigmatizing than helping relationships offered in traditional medical or psychiatric settings. Shelley A. Jackson, in her famous article named as Children's Spirituality and Counseling, noted that spirituality is part of children's everyday lives. Champagne argued that for children, spirituality is a mode of being and can be recognized in their daily activities. The author observed 60 children in daycare settings and recorded 100 hours of their activities, attitudes, facial expressions, and conversations. Children especially show behavioral, emotional, and academic problems when they feel disconnected from themselves, their families, their peers, and their communities. When their need for belonging is not met by their environment, they act out their sense of loss and disconnectedness. In their review of the existing literature on the relationship between religion and spirituality and children and adolescents' mental health, Mabe and Josephson proposed several links between religious spiritual beliefs in children and adolescents and psychopathology in their age group. Religious core beliefs shape children's views on the purpose of life, meaning of suffering, and moral values. Religious coping skills such as believing in a higher power who is in control, meditation, seeking strength from God, and seeking religious counseling can help children cope more successfully with negative life events. Also, most religious spiritual perspectives offer guidelines for a healthy lifestyle. Cox pointed to the many losses that children experience, which range from a broken toy to friends moving away to loss of a family member. The author argues that loss can be used to facilitate growth and spirituality in children. Children can use their sense of spirituality to manage their grief instead of the more common and unhealthy ways of coping, such as denial, anger, and guilt. This coping ability is developed when adults prepare children for losses that they are going to experience in their lives by acknowledging that loss has or will occur. Allow children to openly express their feelings about the loss through words, play, arts, or other mediums, and help. Andrews and Marotta examined the role of spirituality as a coping mechanism in children who have lost a primary caregiver. They collected qualitative data in the form of semi-structured interviews from 6 children who had lost a family member in the 18 months prior to the beginning of the study. The children were between the ages of 4 and 9 in order to control for school and developmental factors. The researchers concluded that the relationship that children had with God, the deceased, other family members, and their peers was the most effective tool in coping with their grief. Psychotherapy and counseling in children makes a counselor to control. The grief level of the children in the society can be controlled through spiritual counseling and psychotherapy. Children can find out better means of delving with their anger and dissatisfaction. Children's minds are diverted in a way which is desired by the society. They can control their behavior. Spiritual counseling helps the children to cope from the loss they have suffered from in life. It was found by Dillon in 2006 that those children who associated themselves with prayer and worship were more likely to respond to the grief therapy than the other children. Spirituality is associated with play therapy. Landreth and Sweeney regarded play therapy to be a spiritual process where the psychological development of the child takes place spirituality. Sand play therapy is one kind of play therapy by which the children relates different objects with God, heaven, place. It is through play therapy that children engage themselves with interaction by which their treatment is carried on by the spiritual counselors accordingly. Therefore, children are the best ways on whom a spiritual counselor can empirically investigate and bring out the results. Works and researches of numerous theorists promote the fact that spiritual counseling and psychotherapy promotes fast healing of the children in the society. It helps in mainstreaming the children in the society. I will now discuss how spiritual counseling is imbibed with different religions in the world. Firstly, Christianity. According to Vanessa Alexandria Chant, in her doctoral thesis, Integration of Spirituality in Christian Counseling, it was noted that prayer is central to Christian practice. It is described as communion or conversation with God. Christian counseling deals with the following points. Number 1, prayer. It is considered to be an internal interaction with God. One can vent out all their feelings through the process of prayer. Number 2, forgiveness. It promotes psychological healing among the people who seeks for spiritual counseling. People can heal their old wounds through forgiveness. It strengthens interpersonal relations. Number 3, use of biblical resources. It promotes psychological healing among the people who seeks for spiritual counseling. People can heal their old wounds through forgiveness. It strengthens interpersonal relationships. Integrating spirituality in philosophy and practice, the church cares and looks after the physical care of the members. Number 5, spirituality and ethics. There are different ethics in Christianity by which spirituality is promoted. Members are counseled on the basis of those ethics. Number 6, self-discourse of spirituality. Spiritual counseling among the Christians promotes one's self-disclosure. They can know themselves by delving deep through the process of counseling. Number 7, religious coping. Religious principles help to uphold coping mechanisms. It makes the members to come out of their depression and join the normal flow of life. Number 8, religious commitment. Spiritual counseling makes people to be committed to religious principles by which they are committed to their religion and religious activities. It helps to heal themselves from within. Number 9, religious counseling. The therapeutic effect of Christian intercessory prayer is one of the oldest forms of therapy. Personal prayer is also considered of value by some mental health professionals. Prayer is one of the most often used spiritual interventions in different forms of therapy and counseling. Although many counselors believe in praying for their clients rather than praying with their clients, nevertheless there is a variety of ways a counselor may pray. It can be silent or vocal, and perhaps encouraging clients to pray themselves for wisdom, strength, and assistance. Some studies on prayer suggest praying aloud with clients. Hinduism. All the spiritual practices of the Hindus have got an explanation rather than a justification of why the practices exist among the followers. The Hindus wears a mark on their forehead in the form of tilak or puttu, as the entire body emanates energy in the form of electromagnetic waves. The forehead and especially between the eyebrows. The tilak and puttu cools the forehead, guards us, and prevents energy loss. Sometimes the total forehead is covered with chandan or bhashma, which is also known as the holy ash, as a mark of fast healing from any disease. Bhashma is also applied in different parts of the body. Individuals are thought to heal faster by the application of any holy material. Many a times the holy flower from the flower bed of the god or goddesses is kept in touch with all the ill patients, as they are thought to heal fast. There are different ways of spiritual counseling, such as reciting the word Om makes man to be calm from within. The vibrations created in the body of the people by pronouncing Om is believed to be beneficial for the healing of the individual. Prayer in Hinduism is also considered to be essential by the spiritual counselors. Psychotherapy is promoted with the medium of prayer in Hinduism. Different therapists makes the patients perform yoga, by which healing is promoted. Spiritual counselors show the patients different postures by which they can release their mental constraints and be calm from within. Different therapies are bringing up new measures in order to promote counseling and psychotherapy among the members. One of the therapies mentioned by George Matthew is the varieties of religious therapy. It proclaims that Hinduism believes in the practice of meditation, which is one of the methods of psychotherapy. The Hindus believe in the concept of reincarnation, due to which the notions of karma makes man to walk on the right track by following the religious principles in order. This thereby helps the members to cope with their present problem and be one with God through their worship and rituals, thereby promoting healing among them. A counselor who deals with the religion of Hinduism thus uses various self-help methods as well as self-training through the process of yoga meditation. The sacred words in the Bhagavad Gita, it is a holy book of Hindus, do instill a feeling of power to face the current situation and create a solution for the problem for a better future. It is by this ways that healing is promoted in Hinduism by spiritual counselors. Islam. The word Islam comes from an Arabic root word meaning peace and compliance. Islam is a noun, masdar, in Arabic. The teaching of Islam includes that one can only find peace in one's life by submitting to the Almighty God, that is Allah, in heart, soul, psyche, and deed. It is the name identifying the faith tradition and community of those who believe that there is one God and that the Prophet Muhammad was God's messenger, and the person who submits is a Muslim. The Muslims generally practice spiritual life. When an individual denounces the materialistic things in life and turns to individual ibadat or prayer. The different mechanisms of providing psychotherapy and counseling to the followers of Islam are: Ibadat comprises of the Salat, that is prayer, Zakat, that is alms giving, Swam, that is Ramadan fasting during the holy month of Ramadan, and the Hajj, that is pilgrimage. These promote mental well-being of the individual, as doing charity is believed to bring about peace in the lives of the Muslims. The Muslims pray 5 times a day, which is again considered to be essential to regulate their health condition, thereby healing them. Prayer leads to meditation and concentration, by which the Muslims can focus on any one object, which brings serenity in their lives. Dua is generally an unprompted amorphous conversation with God. This is also believed to promote healing. Spiritual counselors ask for dua from God so that the patients can be healed fast from their pathological conditions and have a better future. Therefore, the concept of Islamic prayer heals the body, mind, and spirit of the individuals. According to Michael Utz, psychotherapy is the very young daughter of the religious soul care. In ancient times, healing of the mind and soul was a religious matter. The religious community and pastoral care served as psychotherapy in former centuries. There is some research evidence that religious involvement is associated with better physical and mental health and longer survival. Strong religion-health connection was found in numerous researches in the modern 21st century. In their survey, George, Ellison and Larson have identified 4 potential mediators of the religion-health relationship. Number 1, health-related practices. Number 2, support from the members of the society. Number 3, psychosocial resources. And number 4, belief structures such as a coherent meaning system. Psychotherapy and spirituality are well connected with each other. The psychotherapists of the modern century are taking up the notion of spirituality so that they can connect well with their clients and promote a better bond of trust. It is by this way that patients will feel free to open up, and the therapists themselves can treat their clients with their patients' religious perspectives along with the spiritual healing practices of their religion. Dennis Lyons, in his book named Spirituality in Counseling and Psychotherapy, noted that spiritual factors may not be the present problem brought to counseling, but may underlie the way by which the client sees the world. Spiritual beliefs may predetermine the client's moral options in day-to-day dilemmas. Clinical work such as bereavement, anonymity and social isolation, alcohol and substance abuse, sexual orientation confusion, and suicide may have addressed with conventional counseling. Psychodynamic, humanistic, existential, cognitive behavioral, along with eclectic and integrationist models, but might just as appropriately be addressed through spiritually centered counseling. Some clients come specifically for religious-based counseling for issues relating to their personal faith. In ancient India, gurus or sages used to act like spiritual masters in the society, as they used to provide spiritual counseling to the members of the society. Treading on the path of history, one can mark the fact that even the kings during the monarchical system of India used to take advice from their spiritual masters and used to clear all their apprehensions before taking a decision. Thus, spirituality provides calm, serenity, as well as tranquility in the minds of the patients, thereby affecting their health status. It helps them to heal from within. It creates a strong bond between the patient and the counselor. They feel confident on the methods of counseling, and thus the goal of healing the clients is achieved by the counselors. Spiritual healing has come up as one of the best mechanisms to promote healing among the individuals. Spirituality was once considered as a taboo in the Indian society, but now the scenario has been topsy-turvy, due to which people are incorporating the concept of spirituality in different sections of the society, that is, hospitals and other agencies of healing. The search for truth is the main aim of spirituality, by which people widely accept this notion while indulging themselves in counseling or psychotherapy. Counselors believe that people are healed from their pathological condition due to spiritual development within them. Cynthia K. Chandler and others, in their noted article named as Counseling for Spiritual Wellness, Theory and Practice, presented a diagram which depicted the model for spiritual wellness and classes of technique. The diagram denotes that at any point in spiritual development, one may shift between a position of wellness and one of either repression or emergency preoccupation. At a position of spiritual wellness, one may demonstrate any stage along a continuum of spiritual development. Where the first meaning of balance refers to this horizontal dimension, a second meaning refers to the vertical dimension. To remain at the horizontal position of balance and yet progress to higher stages of spirituality, one must progress relatively gradually and generally in sequence. Therefore, counseling and psychotherapy promotes healing among the individuals once they take in the notion of spirituality. Not only among children but also among adults, spirituality plays a major role, which has been explored by different theorists in their researches. Due to this reason, agencies which strives to provide counseling and psychotherapy to the individuals of the society are undertaking spirituality and other religious ways to promote healing, so that patients can achieve quick healing within minimum span of time. Thank you.